William and Donald, who are wearing hazmat suits. They visit the infirmary to take blood samples, then the doctor shows them the pile of bodies outside to look at the deformed faces caused by the advanced stages of the disease. The duo promises to send a plane before leaving on the chopper. Who informs him there's been a level 4 virus outbreak in Africa. The World Health Organization will send a team, but the US Army wants Sam to be there first. Robbie asks him to take some boxes with his things, but he gets offended when he realizes she's giving him all the pictures of them. During his flight, Sam meets Major Salt, who doesn't have any experience with virus outbreaks. Sam tells Salt that he needs to be ready to see some unique things, and Lieutenant Colonel Casey starts describing the disgusting symptoms of this unknown virus. Inside a hut, they find a few survivors in terrible conditions surrounded by even more bodies. Salt checks a bed because he hears a kid cry and finds a boy sitting with his disfigured dead parents. The horrifying sight makes Salt freak out and puke inside his hazmat suit, which causes him to have trouble breathing. Casey tries to stop him from taking his helmet off, but it's too late. Salt removes it anyway and takes a deep breath. The virus kills in only 2 or 3 days and has a mortality rate of 100%. If someone infected tried to leave, they must be dead in the forest and couldn't have reached the next village. Patient 0 was a young man who worked with a foreigner to build a road, and when he came home he was sick. After that guy drank from the well, the virus spread through the village. This witch doctor believes that the gods are angry because foreigners are destroying their land, so the virus is a punishment. During the flight home, Salt apologizes for his reaction while Casey writes a report that they immediately send home. That night, Sam crashes a party to ask William to issue an alert. However, William refuses because he thinks the virus won't spread thanks to its high mortality rate. Meanwhile, outside the village, a monkey accidentally falls into a hunter's trap. Afterward, Sam and Casey go to the Military Research Institute and access the top level. While they're changing, Casey scolds Sam for not checking his hazmat suit, pointing at a tear on the sleeve before covering it with tape. Salt is already in the lab and has started most of the tests on the samples. Casey makes a joke about the virus named Motaba and throws a test tube at Sam, who panics to catch it. However, the tube is empty and Casey reminds him to handle lab equipment carefully. They confirm that the Motaba virus is the same thing they saw in Africa in 1967, which means it escaped the bombing. Donald tells William to lock up the virus and get Sam off the case since they must keep it secret. The next day, Sam rushes to William's office to complain because he was assigned to a different case in Mexico. William insists that Motaba is contained and they argue for a while, but the orders don't change. In private, Sam calls Robbie and tells her to request a virus alert from the CDC, but Robbie explains she can't make that request just based on his feelings. After lots of arguing, she hangs up on him. At night, a worker named Jimbo steals the monkey in his car and bribes the guard to buy his silence. In the morning, Jimbo is still driving, and the monkey spits on his face. Eventually, Jimbo makes it to a pet shop in Cedar Creek and tries to sell the monkey, who scratches the store owner's arm when he grabs it. A monkey in the neighboring cage steals the infected pet's banana too. The store owner is now angry and refuses to buy, so Jimbo decides to release the monkey into the woods. In the evening, Jimbo gets on a plane and starts feeling so sick that he loses his appetite. Robbie soon receives the news of an unknown virus in Boston and immediately travels to the hospital. Jimbo and his girlfriend have been isolated and Robbie tries to question them, but at that moment Jimbo dies and his girlfriend loses her mind. Afterward, Robbie gets permission to do an autopsy and is shocked to find all his organs liquefied. Once she's done, she calls Sam to tell him where Jimbo worked and the details of the autopsy. She also shares that all the animal facility workers and hospital staff are being monitored. Unfortunately, Jimbo's girlfriend also died, which means the virus is acting faster. Meanwhile, William enters the vault to get a mysterious sample. Then he talks to Donald, who explains that the Californian governor has asked the president for federal help. They need to contain the virus before the news reaches the media to avoid another bombing. That night, thousands of military trucks and choppers surround Cedar Creek to put it under lockdown. The next morning, Robbie arrives with her CDC team and finds all the roads and bridges blocked. The CDC is allowed to pass, but reporters are being kept outside. In town, Robbie meets the authorities and discovers that Sam is already there. Sam and Robbie check the isolated room, where all the patients from the theater are slowly getting worse. A doctor calls them when a new patient arrives with the same symptoms. This patient was in a car crash but wasn't in contact with any of the sick people, so Sam realizes with horror that the virus is airborne. Then Robbie and Sam leave the hospital and are surrounded by a crazy crowd demanding an explanation. They hurry to the CDC lab to reunite with Salt, who has made a comparison between the sample they brought from Africa and the one in town. A slight difference in its code confirms that it's evolved to survive longer in the air, so it's spreading like the flu. At the pet store, Robbie finds the monkey that stole the banana. However, it can't be the host because it's currently very sick. She takes it to the lab and Salt runs the tests, which indicate this monkey has the original strain. Sam wants to test the animals from Jimbo's workplace, however the CDC already did that and they're all clean. As hours pass without progress, more and more soldiers, choppers, and trucks arrive in town, so reporters doubt the official containment story. A curfew is put in effect and the soldiers patrol the streets to send everyone home. If anyone is found outside, they'll be arrested. In the afternoon, Sam discovers that the latest crew of soldiers has arrived with several bags of medicine that they administered to the patients. He asks William about it and learns that the bags contain an experimental antiserum. However, William refuses to say how he got it. Sam accuses him of keeping too many secrets, but their argument is interrupted by one of the first patients dying. Then Sam takes an antiserum bag and asks Salt to test it on the monkey. Soon the virus is spreading through town. Any person feeling sick must hang a white fabric outside their house so the soldiers can pick them up and take them to the hospital. A mother says goodbye to her children before leaving, and the father has to stop the kids from touching her. Tests indicate that most of the town is infected now, so there's no more room in the hospital and the military has to set up tents to isolate the patients. In the lab, tensions are high because nobody is getting enough sleep. Casey is so sleepy that he almost passes out in front of the microscope and walks away without disconnecting the air tank from his hazmat suit, which causes it to tear. He quickly leaves without a word, but Robbie sees him and follows him. After going through the decontamination chamber, Casey tells Robbie that he only got a scare. At the White House, Donald tells the authorities that the virus will be all over the country in 48 hours, so they should bomb the town. How with a carefully shot dart, Salt puts it to sleep. Then Salt calls William to tell him he's got the host, so William immediately suspends the bombing. When the duo takes off, they're surrounded by 2 helicopters. Sam tells Donald that they have the host, but Donald doesn't care and makes his men chase them. Salt shows off his piloting skills and flies under the bridge. However, one of the helicopters manages to copy his moves and continues to chase them while opening fire. Then Salt flies incredibly high in the sky to pull in 180, and now he's behind the other helicopter. By forcing it into one particular direction, the enemy choppers almost crash into each other. While they pull some quick movements to avoid the crashing, Salt and Sam fly away safely. They also shoot a few missiles at the ground to make it look like they crashed, so their enemies are forced to stop and check. Minutes later they arrive in Cedar Creek and Salt immediately starts working on a cure by using the monkey's blood. Sam checks on Robbie, who doesn't have much time left either. He decides to take off his helmet and makes her touch his face in case it may be their goodbye. Once Salt finishes the serum, he immediately injects Robbie with it. When Donald arrives, he orders his soldiers to bomb the town while ignoring William's concerns again. Sam notices that Robbie is getting better, but his celebration is interrupted by Salt, who tells him that the plane is coming. Donald points out that this will bring him down too, and William is fine with it. Some hours later, everyone in town is feeling better. Sam reunites with a healthy Robbie and they start discussing a possible reconciliation.